It was a quiet evening in the small town of Willow Creek. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of crimson and gold. But inside his modest apartment, Daniel could barely notice. His life had become a routine of bills, work, and lonely nights, the kind of existence that made a man question the meaning of everything he was doing. Yet tonight, something different stirred within him. Earlier that day, he had noticed a woman sitting on the steps of the local grocery store. Her clothes were worn, her eyes tired but determined. She was trying to gather enough coins to buy a loaf of bread. Daniel had walked past her at first, his mind full of excuses. He had rent to pay, groceries to buy, and a busy schedule waiting at home. But then something in her gaze, a mixture of hope and despair, made him pause. He turned back and handed her a few dollars, and the woman's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. That small act of kindness ignited something deep in Daniel, something he hadn't felt in years, the feeling that he could make a difference, even if it was just for one person. That night, Daniel went home and stared at his reflection in the mirror. He was a man who had lived safely within his comfort zone, never taking risks, never stepping out of the boundaries he had built around his life. But the encounter that afternoon had planted a seed, a thought that would not leave him. What if helping others could change my life too? By the next morning, he made a decision that would alter the course of his life forever. Daniel would dedicate himself to helping people, not just with money, but with his time, his energy, and his compassion. At first, it seemed simple. He volunteered at shelters, helped neighbors with errands, and spent weekends assisting local charities. The smiles he received, the gratitude he felt, it all seemed worth the effort. Yet, with every act of generosity, Daniel began to notice something strange. The more he gave, the more complicated his life became. His savings began to dwindle, friends questioned his choices, and his own work began to suffer. It was a small price, he thought, for the joy of helping others. But then came the first real test. A local family lost their home to a fire. Everything they had was gone. Desperate, they turned to Daniel for help. Without hesitation, he offered to lend them money for rent, food, and clothes. The gratitude in their eyes was immense, and for a moment, Daniel felt a sense of purpose he had never known before. But the cost was heavy. His bank account was nearly empty. His landlord called multiple times demanding rent. And worst of all, his closest friend confronted him. "Daniel, you're being foolish. You're sacrificing your life for people who might never even repay you. Think about yourself for once." Daniel was torn. Was he truly helping them, or was he losing himself in the process? That night, he sat alone in his dimly lit apartment, the weight of his decisions pressing down on him. The woman at the grocery store had seemed so small, so simple, but helping her had led to a chain of events that he had never anticipated. As the days passed, the struggles grew. Helping the fire-stricken family meant cutting corners in his own life. Bills piled up, work suffered, relationships strained, and yet the moments of pure human connection, the relief he could see in the eyes of those he helped, kept him going. He began to realize something profound, true. Helping comes at a cost. Not just money or time, but emotional energy, security, and sometimes even the judgment of those around you. It's not for the faint-hearted, but the reward, he understood now, was deeper than any paycheck or comfort zone. One evening, as he walked back from volunteering at a local shelter, he encountered an elderly man sitting alone on a park bench. The man looked tired, lost in thought, but when he noticed Daniel, a faint smile appeared. "Son," the man said. "You have no idea how much just listening to me means." It struck Daniel then that helping others was never just about money or actions. It was about presence, about being there when it truly matters. The cost might be high, but the impact was immeasurable. And yet, Daniel couldn't ignore the harsh truth. Sacrifices had to be made. Friendships strained, his job performance faltered, and sometimes he went to bed hungry. Helping others wasn't glamorous. It wasn't easy, and most importantly, it came at a price. But this was just the beginning. Daniel's journey would test him in ways he never imagined. Slow, pushing him to the limits of his endurance, compassion, and spirit. The question looming over him now was simple, yet terrifying. How far was he willing to go to help others? And what was he willing to lose in the process? Days turned into weeks, and Daniel's life began to feel like a tightrope stretched over a vast chasm. On one side lay the comfort and safety of his old life, paying bills on time, keeping routines, preserving friendships. On the other side was the life he had chosen, a life of giving, a life where every day brought someone else's struggle into his world. At first, it had been manageable. A few dollars here, a few hours there. But now, helping had grown into a constant demand. The fire-stricken family needed groceries. The children required school supplies. The landlord still called relentlessly. And his job, the job that paid for everything, was suffering because he had been late too many times, distracted by the chaos of the lives he was trying to support. One cold morning, Daniel woke to find a notice slipped under his door. His electricity was about to be cut off for non-payment. The letter burned in his hands as he read it. His heart sank, not for himself, but for the family he had promised to support. How could he face them, knowing he might no longer have the means to help? He walked to the local market to get bread for the children, trying to ignore the gnawing worry in his stomach. He overheard neighbors whispering, some questioning his choices. Why does he care so much about others? He can barely take care of himself, one said. For the first time, Daniel felt the sting of judgment, a bitter realization that helping others didn't always bring applause or admiration. Then came the hardest test of all. One evening, as Daniel was returning home from volunteering at the shelter, he received a call from the mother of the fire-stricken family. Her voice trembled. "Daniel, it's bad. My youngest, she's sick. The doctor says she needs medicine, and I don't know what to do." Daniel's mind raced. He had spent nearly all his savings supporting them, and he knew he couldn't ignore this. Without hesitation, he rushed to the pharmacy, borrowing money from a coworker and even taking a small loan from the bank. He handed the mother the medication, seeing the gratitude and relief in her eyes. That moment, raw and intense, reminded him why he had chosen this path. But the cost weighed heavily on him. That week, he missed a crucial deadline at work, and his manager gave him a stern warning. His closest friends, who had once been supportive, began to pull away, frustrated by his absence at gatherings and events. He started losing sleep, his mind always replaying the faces of those he was trying to help. Daniel began to question himself. Was helping truly worth this constant struggle? Was he making a difference, or was he simply sinking deeper into chaos? One night, exhausted and overwhelmed, Daniel sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the ceiling. He thought about the woman at the grocery store, the simple act that had started it all. It had seemed so small then, but now every act of kindness came with consequences that he could feel in every corner of his life. He remembered the words of his father, long gone, "Son, helping others is noble, but never at the cost of yourself. Daniel realized now that he had ignored this wisdom, thrown himself headfirst into a river of need without considering whether he could swim. Yet, despite the struggles, he felt something growing inside him, a resilience, a fire that refused to be extinguished. Helping others was not just about fixing their problems. It was about being present, about showing compassion in a world that often overlooked it. Every smile he saw, every tear he helped dry, reaffirmed his purpose. The turning point came unexpectedly. One rainy evening, Daniel found himself walking home, drenched and cold, after helping an elderly man who had fallen on a slick sidewalk. His own shoes were soaked, and his coat offered little protection from the downpour. He thought about turning back, heading home, giving himself permission to rest. But when he saw the elderly man smiling up at him, the gratitude in his eyes stronger than any words could express, Daniel knew he could not stop. That night, Daniel understood something vital. The cost of helping others was not only financial or social, it was personal. It touched every part of his life, testing his endurance, patience, and emotional strength. He was learning that true compassion often meant sacrifice, sometimes in ways that left him vulnerable, exposed, and weary. Over the next few months, Daniel faced setback after setback. A close friend confronted him in anger. "You're losing yourself, Daniel. When will you see that helping everyone doesn't make you a hero? It makes you a target for exhaustion and failure?" Daniel wanted to argue to defend his choices, but deep down, he knew the truth. Helping others was exacting a toll on him. He felt his health weakening from lack of sleep and constant stress. His career hung by a thread, relationships strained under the weight of his commitment, and yet he could not stop. One morning, he visited a shelter where he had spent countless hours volunteering. A young boy ran up to him, hugging his leg. "You helped me when no one else did," the boy whispered. Daniel felt tears well up in his eyes. In that moment, all the fatigue, all the struggle, all the criticism melted away. He realized that the cost of helping was immense, but so was the impact. It was this duality that defined his journey. The deeper the sacrifices, the greater the emotional reward. Daniel began to understand that life was not about comfort or security. It was about choices, about courage, about being willing to endure hardship to make a difference. By the end of Part R, Daniel had faced some of the harshest realities of giving: financial strain, strained relationships, social judgment, and physical exhaustion. Yet, he had also witnessed the beauty and power of compassion, the profound way that even small acts of kindness could change lives. And through it all, one question remained, hovering like a shadow over his journey. Could he continue to give, to sacrifice, to endure the shocking cost of helping others without losing himself entirely? That question would define the final chapter of his story, where the ultimate test awaited, one that would challenge not only his generosity, but the very essence of who he was as a human being. The months had passed, and Daniel was no stranger to struggle. His apartment was sparse, his bank account nearly empty, and his body and mind weary from sleepless nights and endless giving. Yet every time he doubted himself, he would remember the faces of those he had helped. The children, the elderly, the families who had nowhere else to turn. One cold winter evening, a phone call came that would push him to the very edge of his endurance. A young mother had called from the other side of town. Her voice trembled with panic. "Daniel, please! My son, he's very sick. I don't have the money for the treatment. No one else can help." Daniel felt his chest tighten. He had given everything he had, and yet he could not turn away. Without thinking twice, he grabbed his coat and ran through the snow-slick streets. each step heavier than the last. When he arrived, the sight that greeted him almost broke him. The boy was pale, shivering under a thin blanket. His mother's eyes were filled with desperation and hopelessness. Daniel took a deep breath and assessed the situation. He had no money left, but he did have connections. People he had helped in the past, friends he had met through volunteering. He reached out frantically, calling and texting, explaining the situation, begging for assistance. Hours passed. The boy's condition worsened. Daniel felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. Doubt crept in. What am I doing? Am I foolish to keep risking everything? Then a small miracle, one by one. People responded. Some donated money, some offered supplies, and a doctor who had worked with Daniel at the shelter volunteered his services. The boy was stabilized. The mother hugged Daniel, tears streaming down her face. I don't know how to thank you. You saved my son's life. Daniel stood there, drenched in snow and sweat, feeling something he had never felt before, the true power of compassion. Every sacrifice, every sleepless night, every strained relationship, it all led to this moment. Yet, Daniel knew that this was more than just a single act of heroism. It was a lesson he had learned through every hardship he had endured. Helping others is not a simple choice. It is a lifelong commitment, one that asks for everything you have, and even more. He returned home that night, exhausted, but filled with a profound sense of purpose. Sitting in the quiet of his small apartment, Daniel reflected on his journey. He realized that the shocking cost of helping others was not just financial or physical. It was personal, emotional, and deeply transformative. He had lost sleep, friendships, and financial security. He had faced judgment, criticism, and the crushing weight of responsibility. But he had also gained something far greater, a sense of fulfillment that could not be measured in money or comfort. He had discovered the extraordinary power of human connection, the profound impact that one person's actions could have on countless lives. In the weeks that followed, Daniel continued his mission, but with a new wisdom guiding him. He learned to balance his compassion with self-care, to give without losing himself entirely. He realized that helping others was not about reckless sacrifice, but about sustainable, meaningful action. Daniel also learned another crucial lesson. Sometimes the greatest help is not financial. It is presence, empathy, and unwavering support. He found that listening, encouraging, and simply being there for someone in their darkest hour often mattered more than money or material aid. Word of Daniel's selfless acts began to spread through the community. People who had once criticized him now reached out to assist, creating a network of support that multiplied the impact of his efforts. Daniel understood that helping others could inspire a ripple effect, turning his struggles into something much bigger than himself. One day, as he walked through the park where it all had begun, Eschen, the place where the elderly man had smiled at him, the boy had hugged him, and the first small acts of kindness had sparked his journey. Daniel realized how far he had come. He was not the same man who had hesitated the sight of a struggling woman on the grocery store steps. He had been forged by hardship, strengthened by compassion, and transformed by the challenges he had faced. In that quiet moment, Daniel understood the ultimate truth. Helping others comes at a cost, but the rewards are immeasurable, wealth or comfort, but in the impact you leave on the world and the person you become in the process. And so Daniel's story stands as a testament to the power of giving, the courage to sacrifice, and the resilience of the human spirit. It is a reminder that even when the cost is shocking, Even when the challenges seem insurmountable, helping others is always worth it. As the sun set over Willow Creek, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples, Daniel smiled. He knew there would be more struggles, more sacrifices, more moments that tested his resolve. But he also knew this: the life he had chosen, full of empathy, courage, and generosity, was the life that mattered most. And in that truth he found peace, purpose, and an unwavering drive to continue making a difference, one life at a time.